Hello, welcome back to another reactions to a video. This video is called Being Asexual Taught Me Why Most Relationships Fail. I thought this would be a good video to react to because I am asexual. And so I am excited to see what points she's gonna bring up, and I think just spreading this kind of stuff is nice, that it's getting more out there and like being asexual and how it's okay, it doesn't mean there's demons in you, but yeah, let's just get into this.
So I'm asexual and I'm in a relationship, and usually those two things together confuse a lot of people. And so just let me get this out of the
Yeah.
way. If you have no idea what asexuality is, it doesn't mean I don't love people, it doesn't mean that I don't like people, it doesn't mean that I don't like being in a relationship with people, it doesn't mean that I'm waiting for the right person to fix my asexuality. It just means that I experience attraction differently than most straight people. Usually people that are not straight understand asexuality better just because they understand how I feel towards, like, usually it's how they feel towards the people of the opposite sex. But I just don't experience sexual attraction. That's all. I don't get aroused. That's literally all. And honestly, it taught me a lot about relationships and a lot about how relationships can be different for every single person. Because when you remove
Yeah, so when you are asexual, it's like it really blows people's minds. Like if I could have a committed partner who was like no sex would be happening, I would be like, yes, I'd be like, hell yes, I would be like, this is my dream come true, uh because I just don't require sex for a relationship to be considered intimate or close to me.
the sexual attraction from the equation, a lot of things starts to show up, because usually that's the biggest factor why someone will start liking.
Yeah, so the attraction, so just from what I've learned about the way the human mind works, is we, the purpose of life to to the wild, the purpose is to produce offspring, and so that's why obviously most creatures that can't produce their own offspring via actual asexual like cell reproduction is they are given this hormone that gets released when you see a potential mating partner, and it rewards you very heavily. Like being in love is stronger than like being on cocaine, or at least the same kind of impact. So when you have a crush on someone, it literally makes your brain go crazy. It makes your mind like you're on a drug, literally, because basically drugs kind of substitute that feeling of love. So like the love is the like natural thing, but then drugs, it basically mimics that reward system, but like by yourself. So obviously it's pretty addictive because your mind makes falling in love well, not like actually falling in love, but like getting a crush on somebody, it rewards you a whole lot, and so it motivates you to try and pursue them. So if you're a girl, like in high school, you'll get a crush on maybe like one of the cool guys that are on the sports team, because that's seen as a attractive trait to our species, because if you are active, if you're fit, that means you will produce healthy offspring typically. And so, uh, if you're a big sports guy, you're gonna have a lot of girls pursuing you, at least at first. Um, because that's the whole thing, is that's the first um just the like chemical reaction of when you first see them, but as you interact with them, that chemical is going to become like less in charge, and then you'll get to think with your actual thinking brain. So that's sort of how I explain it to people, is I like I have emotions, like I do, believe it or not, I have emotions, and but I don't really, they're not really strong enough to overtake my logical brain. And so that's why I don't really get crushes on people, because I'm like, who is this? Who is this girl? I don't know who she is. I don't know. She could be a crazy. She could be a crazy person. I don't know her. Why would I have a crush on her? I don't even know her name. Meanwhile, other people would be like, "Oh my god, this girl is so beautiful. She's I, she would be a great wife for me." And I'm like, how do you know she would be a great wife? You don't know if you're even compatible yet. It's like I'm always telling people, like, why don't you try like going on a date with them first, and get to know if you actually like them as a person before you know go all in with being committed to them, because you may like them, but they may not like you, and that's obviously a big incompatibility.
someone else in the first place. And you're forced to answer the question that most people never have to answer: why am I with this person? Why do I like this person? What do they bring into my life? Because when you have a crush or you're sexually attracted to a person, a lot of your relationship is based on sexuality. And maybe romantic too, but it's kind of connected. So when you don't feel that electric pull, when you don't feel that physical pull that strongly, your body is not making.
Yeah, so that's a pretty big thing that I had to learn about. So before so when I was single, I did a lot of research on, how to be a good partner, how to do relationships good, basically. Just all those recommended videos, and just all any information I could find, and asking other people, not so much other people, because most people are, turns out they really suck at relationships. Like, people are really bad like at this point in time, like for Western society, we're uh we're not very good at dating. And we're not very good at committed relationships, and we're not very good at being reliable. But I tried to be, so that's why I did all that research. And so when I was learning all this stuff, that's when I was like, oh shit, like, I am definitely asexual. But I also try to like acknowledge that normal people have the sexual attraction or romantic attraction. And so if I were to be in relationships with people, I had I made sure to try my best to like make sure to show like that their feelings matter, because just because I don't have that sexual need doesn't mean they don't. And so I got no problem like being there for them, because that is, for them it's a need to be like, oh, let's have sex the like twice a week minimum, or whatever, like that. That's fine. Just for me, that's not a requirement for a relationship, but for other people, even though they would try really hard, um I'm not gonna force someone, because people, they'll have crushes on you, and so they'll like you so much that they'll sacrifice their own needs to continue staying close to you. And I don't like that. So I make sure that everyone I date, I ask them what their needs are, and as we're in the dating phase, uh, the hopefully open up more about what their needs are and what they expect and what they want out of a relationship in general, or one with me. And so it's just because I don't want anyone to feel neglected. I want us to be compatible, and so there's no point in trying to force compatibility when we're just simply not compatible. And so that's why it's hard a lot for people when I reject them, because even though they're having the chemical emotion super strongly, they're being like, I love you so much. They're like, if you uh like ruled the world, I would want to be by your side. Yeah, girls have really said that. And I was just like, that is cool, but I am not going to date you because of these reasons I stated earlier. But a lot of them have a hard time accepting that. And so I gotta like, not like, I gotta be like the the decision maker. Like, I'm just good at putting my foot down. So if I see that there's just no chance that we would actually be happy long term together, I would be like, no, just relax, and go find somebody else, okay?
Decisions for your brain. So why this person? Why did you choose this person? What is it about the way they think, the way they listen, the way they act, the way they carry themselves, the way they improve your life, or the way they change your life? What do they do on a random Wednesday that makes you fall in love with them more and more every week? And I think that is the most important question.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they would say this a lot when I was doing my dating research. They would say, um like, they would call it the honeymoon phase, which is basically the first few months of officially being committed to each other, where you're just super in love because the chemical is rewarding you super strong for being around this person, and it's trying to make you produce offspring as fast as it can if there's no offspring already in you. And so then that feeling like dies off. But that's a thing that I learned, is it that real love um takes work. So you have to actually like each other first, and do what she's saying now, where you talk about basically rekindling that honeymoon phase. So with the long-term married couples that have been married for like 40 years, like, they're like retired together and they still love each other super hard. They did the brain chemistry scans, and it revealed that their love feeling for each other was just as strong as that first feeling that people get when they have crushes on somebody. So so basically, it's still possible to keep refostering that reward chemical, but it takes effort. It takes work for it to be be the same person for long term. And so that's why a helpful dating advice is to say, is like, guys will tell other guys that are maybe struggling with their relationship dynamic with their wife to say, date your wife. And so they might be confused by that, because the way this monogamous heteronormative society is, it gives you like a step-by-step guide, like, okay, you you date the girl, and then you get engaged to the girl, and then you marry the girl, and then you have kids with the girl, and then you retire with the girl, and then you die together. And that's like the step-by-step playbook for relationships, very, very, very simplified. And but they what they don't tell you is that once you reach that next stage, like, you she she agrees to marry you, that doesn't mean you stop putting effort in it. you know just for to me, marriage is just like some legally binding stuff to make like inheritance easier to process. But some people do it as some sort of expression, so guys will think like, oh, I agreed to marry you, so that's it. But that's not actually that's not actually how it works. You have to keep dating your wife. You have to like take your wife, out to dinner. Like, maybe you're really poor, so maybe you can only afford like once a month having a date, and you just do like, like a walk at the park. There's like free options to be able to have nice bonding moments, because if you actually like each other, these these free or like simple uh, date ideas will go a long way. And so that's like a sign uh, that like a girl would actually be worth dating, is if you're still in the dating phase and you take her on dates and she's still happy and she's still grateful, uh, just because, not because of like all the money you spend on her, but because she liked spending time with you. And that's a really good sign. And if you liked spending time with her, or if you're the girl in this situation and you're like, you go on a date with somebody, some guy from like a currently poor family, because all of us in our 20s right now, we're obviously poor. We're not making six figures a year. And so I'm really hoping that we bring back like dating someone because you like them and not just because they are gonna financially benefit you. So yeah, just date people you actually like, and that they like you back for who you are, and not what you want them to be, because people change, um but typically people change like really slowly. And so if you're dating someone and you're seeing red flags that you know you can't handle long term, like one of mine is smoking. My policy for dating: no smokers, no cigarette toes allowed in my dating sphere, because a lot of reasons. But that's one of my like hard requirements for dating me. And so if the person is already not smoking and they're not interested in smoking ever, then I'm like, okay, let's see what else we're compatible with. But if they are currently smoking, um, then I would be like, okay, well, if you want to date me, you would have to quit smoking. And so that would weed out the people who actually like me, because if they actually liked me enough to actually want to be with me long term, they would quit smoking, like fully quit. And, that weeds out the people I'm incompatible with. And so people should think of relationships more like not looking exactly for the the good things, like making a checklist of good things, or like, okay, does he have a good job? Is he nice to me? Does he smell good? And does he have brown hair? Or whatever your preferences are. Those things are cool, but they're mostly bonuses. So you gotta, when you're like dating people, you gotta like be friends with them first for a while, and, see how they handle stressful situations and other things. How do they handle like conflict, like arguments and things like that. See what stuff they're passionate about, and because you got to make sure that you're aligned at this current moment in time, because like I was my original point is people do change, but um very slowly. Like most people, like, takes them a long time to grow and change. And so if you don't like who they are now, once that brain chemical reward has worn off, then obviously you're going to break up, right? So it's important to see what you can handle. So, everyone has their flaws, but you have to see, like, within yourself, what are you able to handle? Like, can you handle that your boyfriend is forgetful? Like, because when you're married, he's probably not going to stop being forgetful, because that's just part of who he is. And it would depend, like, on the reason why he's forgetful. But if that's just a ingrained part of who he is, and you wouldn't be able to handle a partner that is forgetful, then you shouldn't continue dating the guy that you're dating right now that's very forgetful, because you're just gonna get more resentful over time, because you didn't think about the long-term effect that it's gonna drain on you. So, I have my things that I'm willing to put up with uh if I'm dating or planning to date somebody. I learn their insecurities, and I learn their quirks, and make sure that I'm able to deal with it, and that they are able to deal with my quirks, because I don't want them to be annoyed at me just because of how I'm existing, which is adds more uh what is it, complication to the compatibility. So yeah, basically, I'm not really sure if I worded all of that well, but basically, I'm just saying, if you have things that really annoy you, or things that are really important to you, then you should make sure that you can see that, you can see the bad parts of how your partner is, and see if you're okay with dealing with that.
In any relationship, no matter if it's sexual or not, no matter if you're with an asexual person or not, no matter like what kind of relationship it is, it's so important to just ask yourself why you are with that person, even if you're sexually attracted to that person. Because a lot of the time, it's gonna be, I don't wanna be alone. I don't wanna live my life without getting married. I don't wanna be single for the rest of my life. Those are usually the motivations that make you be in a relationship with a person. I don't wanna be a virgin for the rest of my
Damn,
life. And those
that
are not.
really? Yeah, I I'm assuming that it is me. If that really is the case, that's a result of people being, like, low on the consciousness level, because I'm considered a higher level of consciousness. People always comment, like, whoa, you say all these really deep things that I've never thought about before. And meanwhile, I'm like, really? Because I think about those deep things every single day, and just all throughout my day. And so, I mean, I guess it makes sense, since I said earlier that the whole point of why we exist is to reproduce, like, according to the rules the of the universe. But man, that is that is so weird. I guess that's why, if I'm simply just nice to people, they'll get a crush on me, because they'll be like, "Oh, he listens to me, and that makes me not feel alone in the world." Wow, that's interesting.
Based on the other person, those are based on you and your insecurities and your thoughts and your
Yeah.
feelings. And I realized this because I do not really have needs from a relationship, right? I don't see a reasoning behind me being in a relationship because I just don't have needs towards another person of
Needs.
the opposite sex. Like, I just don't get anything from it. Like, that's physical, right? I don't get as much dopamine as other people do, and I don't get the pleasure that other people do from being in a relationship. And there's not, like, that benefit doesn't exist for me. So I was like single for like 3 years, 4 years before getting into the current relationships that I'm in. And this relationship, honestly, I can answer every single question about why I'm with this person, what makes
That's
them a
nice.
beautiful addition to my life, what I like about our relationship. And it's usually something boring, like something like conversation. Like, I just like how open our conversation is. I just like the fact that I can tell anything. Like, there's no, literally zero filter, zero filter. I like the way he listens. I like the way he's trying to.
Yeah, this is a really nice point is for since I'm asexual and I'm also aromantic, not aromantic like the helpless romantics. I am aromantic, aromantic, which is like asexual but for romantic attraction. So I have neither romantic nor sexual attraction. And so you're like, Trace, how do you get into relationships? It's because of other people. Other people ask me to if I would consider dating them. And so that's why I did all that research. So like I did have one ex that I asked out, but it's mostly because I wanted to practice my ability to date. And at the time, I thought we were friends. And to me, a relationship that is kind of like similar to normal attraction people is like they're like best friends with each other. And so that's kind of like what she's saying is that the new boyfriend is like a best friend. And so that's really important. All humans, we need our interactions, we need our social connections. And just because we're asexual doesn't mean we don't need human interaction. Like we still need it, just a little less or in a different way.
Make me feel better in every single situation. I like how he's positive all the time. Like, I just like a lot of things that are just important for any relationship, but I just can see them so clearly because they are so beautiful additions to my life. And because that's the only reason why I'm with this person. I mean, of course, I love this person. Of course, I feel emotions around this person. But the only reason why I choose to be in a relationship right now is because this relationship, okay, yeah, it's insanely beautiful. We have a great connection. We're soulmates basically, but it's also adding so much to my life that is not physical pleasure. I think a lot of people are.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me when I am considering dating people. I am basically saying I want someone who brings an impact, a positive impact on my life. Like, I don't want to bring somebody into my life who's going to make my life worse. So I want someone who's going to make my life better because they're in it and because that will motivate me to want to keep putting effort into them. Like, I'm like, I believe unconditional love is important. It's something every living creature should experience throughout their life. But, people call me a little bit weird because my my love is technically conditional because if you're gonna be neglectful to me, if you're gonna abuse me, if you're like verbally or physically, if you're gonna hurt the other people I care about, if you hurt yourself in a really bad negative way all the time, I'm gonna be like, no, I don't want you in my life. Get out of here. And so, but it's a little bit weird for people to think about that someone in their life has to actually be beneficial to stay in it.
Building relationships on top of the first attraction that they're feeling, like physical attraction, and then they're trying to build compatibility over that. And I think sometimes that works. Like I've seen it work so much with my friends, but I've also seen it not work and fail miserably. And I feel like the main reason why this is you got pulled by a person like physically and you never really asked yourself.
Yeah, it's really sad actually. I really have not seen very many relationships that actually worked where they liked the person like sexually first, and then they discussed the compatibility, but according to them, it's already too late to like give up, and they already got married, they already got 3 kids, and only then did they figure out, oh shit, I don't actually like this person. I just wanted to make a baby with them. And that is most relationships that I've seen.
What do you actually like about them? What do you actually see as them adding in your life? What is healthy about them? And I think being asexual made me start from the opposite direction because I just asked those
Yep, me too.
questions first because I just don't have the physical pleasure. I just don't have that first attraction, right? And from my perspective, I think those are very important questions to ask, even if you're not asexual. I'm not saying my way is better because I feel like if you're allosexual, if you're on the other part of the spectrum, probably physical attraction means a lot to you. And that's great. I'm just saying that it taught me something very important about how relationships are built and how we tend to go towards them because before I had
Yeah, the basically the only successful relationships I've seen through other people is that they discussed their relationship beforehand, and then they went all out with being all romantic and cutesy and stuff, or at least were friends for a long time before they agreed to start being intimate with each other.
the 3 year second last period and like found my boyfriend right now and whatever. Before that, I would just be with whoever attracts me. Like I would go to a club or I would go to a party and I would just see someone and I would just go to them and be like, oh, you look nice. Maybe not like that, but like you understand. And then we would just like be in a relationship with each other and then it would be terrible and I would break up with them after like 2 weeks because again, I don't have the pleasure, the physical need. So there's no reason for me to stay in a relationship with a person for more like if they don't bring any value to my life. And yeah, the attraction was the spark and I do feel like mental attraction and I do see when someone is beautiful, right? It's just not as intense as if I were to like be sexually attracted.
Yeah, like for me, I've maybe had like 3 crushes, and they were on girls throughout my life. And one was just like it was just like a goth girl from 5th grade, and then the other one was this Chinese girl that I'm friends with, and the other one was a streamer, and because she's really nice and she's a really cool content creator, so I just got a little crush, and I'm like, I'm at, I think it's a crush, you know, with just like the little excited feeling, like I got it, that feeling a tiny bit, for those 3 people, but it was very temporary, I guess, because the crushes are temporary anyway, and also my like compulsion to like pursue them, or whatever, is not very strong, because I was still like logical, like I'm not, I told myself that I wouldn't do long distance anymore, and so obviously if I ask out this Chinese girl, she is a 12-hour time difference, so that's pretty sure that's long distance. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna stay friends. And for guys, some people might say that I have crushes, but I think because it to me, I think that feeling was more of a I wish I was them, rather than I have a crush on them type of feeling. It's just like, I'm like, whoa, this guy, he's so cool. He's liked by so many people. I got a big old crush on him, I bet. But it's like, no, I just want to be him. Like, a lot of my crushes were like fictional guys. like Ben 10 and frig, what's the friggin' ghost guy's name? Like, oh, Danny Phantom. Danny Phantom was a big one. Um, Ash Ketchum, and it's like, people will be like, oh yeah, I've had crushes on those characters. But now that I think about it, I wasn't having crushes on them. I just wanted to be cool like them.
To someone. And so when I reversed the process and I literally looked into how that person will add something to my life, mind blown. I just found basically my life partner. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna be my life partner, but he could be. I don't think there's any reason why he wouldn't be unless our paths just diverge naturally, and I'm okay with that and I'm gonna leave that happen. But honestly, I've never met a person better for me ever in my life compared to how he is and who he is and what
Yeah, it's really hard to come across somebody who actually has depth to their personality.
he brings to my life. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that because I feel like it's beautiful and it's important. And those questions should be the first questions that you ask yourself the moment that you meet someone. And you can even ask them, like, like in a job interview, like, what do you bring to the table? I mean, men do like to ask a lot of girls, what do you bring to the table? Anyway, this is a healthy version of that. Chemistry fades quite quickly, no matter.
Yeah, that's a more of a result of our, I guess, speed dating culture, because it went from like speed dating to hookup culture, and so there's not actually any dating involved. It's literally basically like a job interview. And you know how the job market is right now. Everybody's getting denied, even if they are qualified, just because the companies feel all entitled. And so that is similar to what is going on with the dating pool right now. Everyone is, not really thinking about what they bring to other people's lives that is actually beneficial, or how the people in their lives bring benefit to them. And so, I meet people who are like in their 40s where, I'll just say some normal thing to me, but then they get mind blown. They're like, oh my God, like these friends I've had for 20 years, they're not actually my friends, and I actually don't even like them. And so then they stop being friends with those people, and then they meet people who are actually friends to them. It's crazy to me how many people have these quote unquote friends, but they're not actually friends to each other. It's weird.
How much you feel it. But what doesn't fade is the conversations that we will have, the ability to have conversations. Do they make you feel more honest? What kind of things do they like to hear about? What kind of things do they believe in? Like, what things do they value? Like, those things are much more important than the chemistry when you're choosing someone to spend a lot of time with, because they change so much of your experience in life. They, like, you will spend so much time with this person, they will literally change the way you think. And if you don't like the way they think, you will start not liking the way you think. That is bad. That is bad. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it. And if you did, then I'm sure you're gonna like this playlist too.
Yeah, that was certainly a neat little video. I definitely advocate for people to share their experience. You got this anonymous world. You could join my Discord server, and you could, just mention this video and, add your own experiences or thoughts on it, or you could write it in the comments of this video. But just the Discord server would be a lot easier if you wanted people to actually respond and interact with you, to conversate more on this topic.